Let's just take this question. I've not done this before. Let's just see what happens. Okay, now stop your questions related to what is Jindal, what is LSAT, what is my score. Stop these for a little while. We'll perhaps address that at the end of the class. Okay. Okay. You guys now here, all with me, paying attention, right? You can see what's happening here. Now calm your minds down. Focus on the class. Avoid asking questions that I've answered 1000 times and that I've made a video for. Please watch those videos on percentile. I thought, if I make a video, maybe you won't ask me. You ask me the same questions every day. I can't tell you anything. I can't predict anything. When will this exam happen? Will this exam happen? I don't know. Okay. Again, I could have used this screen to start off and solve the question, but then what happens is that we would have looked at the options. You see, I had told you that when the passage is small, like this is basically a reading comprehension of sorts. You agree? This is like a reading comprehension yesterday, where you've received a small passage. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay. This is an RC, right? Just that the passage is small and that you have one question thereafter. So whenever a passage is small or relatively small, so yesterday what I told you was if you have a passage that looks kind of not so large, you will almost inevitably have numerous questions thereafter. Okay. And when the passage is long, you are likely to have fewer questions. Also, when there are fewer questions and a long passage, then it makes sense to see, hey, what do I need? But when the passage itself is small, then the questions and the options are a trap that we don't want to get stuck in. So as always, we'll try to make some sense of what we see here. Okay. And the other thing I told you yesterday was that you have to be reading very actively. If you are just reading for the sake of reading, this will start to happen to you, right? So the way to prevent this thing from happening to you is don't dwell on something for longer than you should. Do I make sense? If something, this is a human mind. The human mind, apart from other things, derives pleasure in problem solving if you allow it to do so. There's a problem before you, you work on it, you get it right, you feel happy after that. If I were to give you a life where I give you one lamp, I say, do like this, you will get what you want. You will realize that life doesn't really enthrall you as much as you think it would. We like to have a problem and then solve the problem and then give ourselves a false sense of victory, or a sense of victory. Let me not call it false, but you see, that's what we want. Our mind seeks it. Our mind seeks a challenge. Okay. Now, when we understand this is the character of our mind, and now we want not to be challenged by a question, or if we passively look at something, our mind says, hey, get me something better. Your mind is not bored of this because it's difficult. Your mind is bored because it finds it useless. Your mind wants something more productive. Therefore, when you read something, trust the capacity of the mind. Okay, this is not an ordinary instrument, right? Regardless of how dumb you and I might be. What I mean to say is that, let us say there's a spectrum of people, right? Some people are very intelligent here. Some of us might be here. Even this person here is a human being, for heaven's sake. The human mind, this is a very small challenge for the human mind. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So you don't need to linger on something for too long. When you read something, just read it quick, but read it with the technique. So what you're trying to do here is, now that we're into our 6th class, we've done this for a while. We've understood some technique. I'm not telling you to speed it up. I'm not telling you to be hasty, but I'm saying understand that do not stare at something for longer than you need to, right? It's like this. Let's say I'm in the metro station, of course. It's a long time since we've seen anything like that. Let's say there's a big crowd, okay? and maybe your friend is there, your father is there. You just look at the crowd like this. Once you can spot the father there immediately. That's how sharp, that's how acute our senses and our mind is. Once you know something, it recognizes it. You see, recognition is you know something. Now when you look at it, you immediately come to know what you need. So I hope that even if you've not done that until now, practice a few more questions. Your sense of recognition of what is important will become better. Okay. With that little lecture, let's start looking at the question. Let's start. And I will see this first. Okay, no questions on 45, 50, how to improve, how to develop. Now only stick to this question. I'll take these questions at the end, okay? You know what? I'll tell you what my screen looks like. My screen has the question here. It has my photo here. It has your chat here. And the chat keeps going up like that. So I'm looking here, and I told you about peripheral vision, right? So I tell you that when you read, look down like this because your eyes can see this and this simultaneously. So when I'm reading this, I see your chat here. So for example, Ojasvi just asked me, where are the LSAT mocks available? It's very distracting. Leave that for a little while from now. For the time being, let's focus on what we are here for. Once it's 8:30, I will answer your questions. Although I have, let me just put it here once again. If you want, I'll put the link to the prep test at the end of the class again. Now calm down. Please don't give me extra information in the chat box. Let's start. While studies indicate that university professors spend much of their time engaged in personal research not clearly related to teaching, it is unlikely that additional financial compensation for, say, a larger course load or longer office hours would be the most effective of various possible means of shifting the focus of their activities. This would be the best means only if their motivation to educate were no more than a mechanical response to the prospect of more money, which surely is not the case. Okay, so the first thing that you realize here that this is one long sentence, right? This is one long sentence. There are some clear points where you can start dividing this, okay? And we need to see as to what the question requires of us so that we now read it in a more targeted manner. You see, when I went from top to bottom, I inevitably got some meaning, right? I can't help but learn something. It's like you can't unsee things, right? Like that, I cannot, if I let myself stay in a state of neutrality, it is not possible for me not to have understood something when I just went from here. So let me trust that. I'm supposed to trust that as a human being, as a person who understands ordinary text, who can make sense of plain text, when I went from top to bottom, something got into my head. Let me feel happy about that. I just spent 10 seconds and I've learned something good. Now when I have to refine it and I realize what I don't know, I go back to the passage with a sense of purpose. If I just decide, let me just read it again, your mind is like, hey, you just read this, man. You just read the whole thing out, and that's just one line. Don't don't distract, please. You just read this whole thing, okay? And if you go back to this again without a sense of purpose, your mind is going to be reluctant to see it. Therefore, how do you now get yourself a sense of purpose? Read the question. That will kind of have you want to be more acute in your understanding of this. First thing. Once you read the question, you kind of also have an idea of what the options are. So now you know that you're going for something, you're searching for something in here. For example, if I were to tell you that count the number of commas in this, you now do it with a sense of purpose that's different. Would you find that boring? Yes or no? Would you find that boring if you were to count the number of commas in this? Right? So you're giving yourself a true false game within this, whereby you're looking at it again and again, but you are giving yourself a greater sense of purpose. This is one of the very foundational things about how this question has to be approached, about these questions have to be approached, because it's a very it's a very real peril while solving these questions that your mind just doesn't want to see it. So now let's see if we can give ourselves a sense of purpose by looking at the question. Which one of the following most clearly expresses the main conclusion of the argument? I had told you something. This question is dealing with the conclusion of the argument, not so much its assumptions. How do I identify the conclusion? Do you remember I told you something like a test or something like that? Remember? I told you something. It's a test that I had seen from someone else. Yes, very good. You see, conclusions are perhaps identified by some things that you can, by the word so, thus, for this reason, hence, etc. And then you're like, this happens, therefore, that's the conclusion. Okay. So now let me go back first to look for the conclusion in this. So, I can appreciate the option only after I first understood the conclusion. So you see, now I go back to the same passage with a game. Earlier, I didn't have a game. I was just going to read it. While studies indicate, don't spend too much effort there. Now you realize you go back with a sense of purpose. Agree? You're going back with a sense of purpose. You have to quicken this process eventually. So now I go back and I try to look for the conclusion first and then make sense of it. While studies indicate the university professors spend much of their time, it is unlikely that additional financial compensation for, say, a larger, you know what, when I say that for, say, what is this thing that's following here? It's an example. You understand this? If I say that you can do this for, say, I just remove the example for the time being, because I don't need your example as of now. Maybe I understand it better without the example. So for, say, I just remove this. That okay, I think I've erased too much. Let me just see. Okay. Here's how much I should have erased. So I identify the example for, say, a larger course load, or yeah. So I say that it's unlikely, and I can remove say, would be the most effective. Okay. Now I can also first get rid of what is there after the semicolon and try to understand what's given here. Don't worry about speed. When you do it by yourself, it automatically gets faster. We need to see if we are able to be sure. Your preparation is not this class. Your preparation is what you do after the class, after taking the method from here. Okay. Studies indicate that university professors spend their time engaged in personal research, not related to teaching. It is unlikely that additional financial compensation would be the most effective of various possible means of shifting their focus of activities. You know what? This looks like a conclusion, if you notice. When you say it is unlikely that this will happen, something, 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 it is unlikely that it looks like a possible conclusion. So remember that it's not necessary that the conclusion would be at the end. But then maybe there's a greater conclusion ahead of this. So let me go ahead and see. Let's remove this. This would be the best means only if their motivation to educate were no more than a mechanical response to the prospect of more money, which surely is not the case. Now, again, what you see here is that before this, is a case. And then it's the judgment that this is not the case. Do you realize that this is also a conclusion of sorts? It's a judgment that, hey, I say it's not, this is not so. It's a judgment. It's a kind of a conclusion. This brings us to another important point, and you learn to realize that you are to look at the question more closely. It says, which of the following is the main conclusion? Oh, that means I need to first find out what the main conclusion is, because you might realize that there are multiple conclusions in here. Okay. If I were to apply the so test in here, or the therefore, or the for this reason test, do I find a conclusion in here by applying that test that I told you earlier? Do I find something here? We don't. So you see, that test was not an exhaustive test. But then you get the point and you understand that that something is an argument, has a premise, and it has a conclusion. Along with the premise, sometimes you also add evidence. Is there evidence in here? Is there evidence in here? Puneet, what is the evidence? Those who are saying yes, what is the evidence? What is the evidence? Studies indicate. Very good. So studies indicate something. That's like your evidence plus premise. So you should understand that this is the conclusion of the study is not the conclusion of the argument. So you know what? You might think that studies indicate that university professors spend much of their time engaged in personal research and not, which is not related to teaching. Is this the conclusion? No. This has to be understood as the premise. Do you understand why I said this? It looks like a conclusion because you are concluding the study says that university professors spend their time engaged in research not related to teaching. It looks like a conclusion, but do you agree with me? Do you agree with me that this does not qualify as the conclusion of the argument built here, right? Every statement in its own right is a conclusion. Every statement concludes something or wishes to make you conclude something or assert something. This is not the main thing. So you know what? I'm using a question such as this, and it's happening as we are on the task, that we're trying to identify a main conclusion without really seeing the word therefore, so. Good question. Turns out it's a good question. Okay. And this is what you need to do with yourself once you're out of this lesson. Now we have 3 or 4 days. I think you should start devoting the whole of your day to this. Okay. It is unlikely that additional financial compensation would be the most effective of various possible means of shifting the focus of their activities. Okay. Again, you realize reading this thing out it's not the most convenient thing to read out. It's very simple when you read it. When you read it aloud, whether I speak it out or whether I read it to my own self, either way, speech or connecting reading with speech is an impediment. It says that first it says studies show that university professors do their own research, which means they do own research which is not related to teaching. Let's say, for example, I teach the law of evidence, but I'm researching on sociology. I'm like, hey, let me not study evidence, let me study sociology. Okay. Then it goes on to say that why studies do this. He goes on to say it is unlikely that if you give more money for more would shift their focus. So he says their focus continues to remain on personal research. It's unlikely. He said that this would be possible. Shifting the focus by giving money would be the best means only if their motivation to educate were no more than a mechanical response to the prospect of money. Don't look at this. It says This thing about giving money would be the best only if the motivation to educate is basically based upon money. So it's like a mechanical response. So it's like, for example, I'm here and there's a motivation to teach. Suppose, so it's like saying, can Ankit take a better class if you give him more money? They say, yes, he could, if the motivation for me to teach was simply my response to more money. Oh, you pay me better, I take a better class. He goes on to say, which is not the case. But he says that is not the case. So he appreciates that, the motivation to teach is not something that is directly connected to money. This is what you have. We've pretty much been able to understand this, but comprehension of the passage as a whole is not the objective of what we're doing here. We are to identify the main conclusion of the argument. In the chat box, tell me what you think the main conclusion of the argument is. Because if you don't have this, I hope you understand one thing. Without first answering this question by your own self, if you go and look at the options will not help you. The options will trap you. You need to have identified this with full conviction. You just look for the answer, throw your dart on it, be done with it. Tell me your estimation of what you think the main conclusion of the argument is. Meera, I like what you say. Manas, that's new information. Don't write only to me, write to all attendees. Write to all attendees. That's when everyone sees what's happening. Tivra, yes. Devansh, that's too broad. Samarth, this is getting too. What Devansh and Samarth are saying is kind of true. Money can't do everything. It's true, but that's not exactly what's here. It needs to be very focused and need to find the main thing. Okay. Now, let me tell you something now. Okay. No, now calm down. Let me tell you something. If you're saying that this first line, this is not something that you can call a conclusion, not because it's in the beginning, but because it is telling you what a study has said. A study has said this. This is like your starting point. Ab ruk jao, stop writing, listen to me. When you speak, you're not listening. So when you're typing, you're not listening. So calm down. You can do this afterwards. For the time being, just listen. You're getting an opportunity here to refine the extent to which you think. And then you go after this class and think about it further. Don't write anything more, please. This study here is like a premise which also has states some evidence. Okay. It is unlikely that something will happen. When I say it is likely or it is unlikely, what am I giving here? When I say that it is likely that you will get 80 percentile if you get 40 out of 50. So if I say, when I say it is likely, what am I doing? What am I doing? Yes, it's a prediction, but it's an opinion. It's an opinion, yes. When I make an opinion, an opinion carries a lot of authority with it. It's a statement that I say that this will not happen or this will happen. it kind of looks like a conclusion. It's a very strong looking conclusion. No, it's not an assumption. An assumption is that which is not stated. A prediction or an opinion is different from an assumption, given that an assumption, in the sense that an assumption is something that is implicit here. You won't find it. Okay. It goes on to say, so what he's saying here is that it may not be the best. Right? He says it's unlikely that it will help. He says it's unlikely would be the most effective. So he says money is not likely to be most effective. In other words, he's saying, if I'm to make it a little simpler here, what he's saying is that money is not the best. He's saying money is unlikely to be the best. Calm down and listen. He's saying here that money is unlikely to be the best. And then he goes on to say, it would be the best in one situation, if something, but he's saying that situation does not exist. Did you guys understand the structure? First, he starts off with a study. Okay. Then he says, it's unlikely that money would be the best. He says money can be best in one situation. Oh, but that situation does not exist. So he's basically going back and saying that money is unlikely to be the best. Do you realize this point, that this is actually taking you back here? You agree? The last point is taking you back here. Now, do you get a sense of having understood this passage? Before this, did you have a similar sense of understanding before this? A similar sense of understanding before this? Before we did this much? Right? So this is now, if I ask you, do you realize that this one is leading to this? This also takes us back to this. So what I would think is that this part has to be our conclusion. Ustad, I'll tell you again. If you realize this part is kind of giving you the premise, pay attention, all of you. Here it tells you that it is unlikely that additional compensation, which means that more money, is unlikely. And I said, remove this say for a course load or longer office hours. It says it's unlikely that additional compensation would be the most effective. So he's saying rupees not going to be the most effective. Let me replace it by the word best, because you have the word best here. He says it would be the best only in the situation. It would be best in the situation if teachers were these persons, you give them money and they will get motivated, which is not the case. So he's saying again here, it's not the best. Here also he's saying it's not the best. So his point basically is, okay, his main conclusion is that money is not the way. Money is not the best way of shifting the focus of a professor from personal research to teaching. You guys agree? Money is not the best way. Now, what could be some wrong answers in my head if I'm to think? Suppose I say, and remember it like this, there is this loaf of bread, okay? It says best before 27th of May. On 28th of May, you know what I think it is? I think it's good. It's best before 27th. On 28th, it's good. On 29th, it's okay. On 30, it's tolerable. It turns bad on 31st. So the same thing you should remember here. It's saying here that it is unlikely to be the best, but he's not saying that it will be absolutely useless. Agree with me? You guys agree? He's not saying it is useless. So do not exaggerate. So if I say, you know what, you're not the best husband, you're not the best wife. Am I saying you're a pathetic wife? I am saying you're not the best. But in our heads, when somebody says you are not the best, you're like, oh, you're the worst. So if you had that exaggeration in your head, curb that exaggeration. Again, the training of the mind. So what I believe is that there would be one bad option that says that money is useless. Money cannot help a person, a professor, shift his focus towards teaching. If I got that, that'll be a wrong answer. I kind of have some anticipation now. Let's go and look at the, can we look at the options, right? Because this statement is not saying here, this is not telling you that money. So if you find something that money will do everything for you, wrong. Money cannot do anything for you, that is also wrong. Here it is saying money is not the best. Be very clear about this. Let's go and look at the options. Let's look at option A. For those who have solved the questions and who know the answers and who are telling me the answers, do you realize that it's absolutely useless for me as well as the others? Okay. Is my audio getting stuck for everybody or just, bacha just, no, it's fine. Okay. 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 Most professors now feel an obligation to educate. That is at least somewhat now. First thing, you're adding this element of time. When there is no timeline given in the passage, you know, if it said recent studies indicate or something recent here, the first thing that I see here in the third word itself, okay, that gives me a problem. There's a problem with the first word also. When I say most, you see, when you say a few, this means two or more. I will put one video on this today on what is suggested by a word in terms of number. If I say, so anything that is more than single, even two, will qualify as plural. When you say most, that kind of gives you more information than you think, but it's acceptable. I will not challenge it so much. But now when I go ahead, feel an obligation to educate. That is at least somewhat unrelated to their desire for money. That is what is being said here. No. It's not contradictory. It's what I see here is, you know what this is saying is surely not the case. Surely is not the case. So what is he saying? Here he's saying something is not the case. So what is he saying is not the case? He's saying the case that professor give him money and he will get motivated or he will feel obliged. He's saying it's not the case. So what he's saying is the case is. He's saying perhaps the case is that if that professors have a motivation that is unrelated to the desire for money. So as far as this point is concerned, the point is true. What I kind of don't like here is this aspect of time. This aspect of time. Okay. I will not completely eliminate it because we have to choose the most appropriate. Therefore, I am not convinced that this is bad. If you remember, what was the main point in our argument? The main point was that money is not the best to help a professor shift his focus from personal to teaching. Let's see if I find something that's more close to this. Shant ho jao pehle shant ho jao. We'll go back to this, but I'm just saying in my first reading, I don't want to get very deep because I might just find that, oh, option B is perfect, right? But I have not found something very bad in this, so I am not eliminating it. Agree? You guys with me? If you disagree, let me know what your disagreement is. Okay, let's go ahead. Increased financial compensation would be an effective way. Arey, ye to ulta ho gaya. This is the opposite of it. This is something I can cut off. Agree? I can cut it off. The research conducted by most professors should be. This is not giving you a value. This is telling you what you should do. No, it's very related. Here, he's not talking about what professors should do. It's about whether if you do this, what do professors do? This is not related. I'll strike this off. I hope you realize this was not so bad. In the beginning, you felt A was bad, right? These are bad options. So how I eliminated B? B is the opposite of what is being said here. I told you, you will have two kinds of wrong answers. One where they will say that money is a very good way of helping. Second, there will be one option which will say money is absolutely useless. Both of these are wrong. Option B is saying money is good. It's not saying, it's not, it has said it is not the best. Okay. What it is, I don't know. Let's say you are not my best friend. For example, Apurv, I say, Apurv, you are not my best friend. Can you say whether you are my friend, second best friend, enemy, family? Can I tell you what you are? Can I tell you what you are? I can't tell you. Don't bring in more information. I just said, Apurv, you're not my best friend. Okay. So this is excessive. If it turns out that my answer is wrong, then I will swallow what I said. But for the time being, let's just keep it as, yeah. Why C is eliminated is that C is eliminated because this is saying what professors should do. This passage has not said what professor, it told us what professors do. It is relevant. See, professors do this. Professors do personal research, they don't teach. Did they say here what professors should do? No. This thing is saying here that the research conducted by most professors should clearly relate to their teaching activities. That's not spoken of here. Maybe they should, maybe they should not, but that's not the conclusion of this argument. Let's look at D. Effective incentives to encourage larger course loads or longer office hours would shift the focus of teaching. No. He said it is unlikely. He said this is unlikely. It's going opposite. So this should have been would not or are unlikely to. This is going opposite. Let me at least, yeah, it's an anti option. Okay, now let's look at E. Monetary incentives would probably, nice. When you see likelihood, when you look at likelihood, it kind of looks like probability, would be less likely than some other ways that professors might be induced to focus more on teaching activities. Looks very convincing. He's saying money is not the best. You see, money less effective. You see the structure here, the diagram. Everything is the diagram. Would be less effective so that professors are induced to go from P to T. Agreed? It follows the structure. If you did not have a structure, could you have got this right? So you take your time to build the structure. The structure is everything. Okay. So let's pick up Devansh. That's what I'm doing with you here. That's what we're doing here. Yes, Chakra. Yes, but we want to see it even deeper than that. You know, when you say positive attitude, Chakra, then you are kind of using your heart to answer the question, but try to use as less of your heart and intuition to get these questions right. Okay. Devansh, it gets faster when it gets better. Okay. To give you an example, I was thinking about this today. Let me give you a little example. I hope you don't think it wastes your time. I had bought a dartboard because I'm staying at home all day, right? So I bought a dartboard with those magnet darts because it's safe. So the first day I got the dartboard, the first time I threw it, the dart, I threw it from here, it went and hit here on my wall. Next time it hit on my wall here. Then it hit here. I couldn't get it right at all. Okay. We have 6 of those. I didn't get it right. Then I picked up those 6 again. This time, 3 landed somewhere here, 1 or 2 landed here. Okay. I picked it up again. And the third time or so, the fourth time or so, I could get it in here. Maybe 1 was here and 4 were in here. Okay. Now, the point that I'm trying to make is, now this is a 3-day-old thing. I was first here. Guys, following what I'm trying to say, I want you to understand this in terms of percentile. On the first day, on my first shot, I was here. Okay. In 5 minutes, I went from here to here. Let's say this was 3 centimeters or 3 inches maybe. In my third attempt, I went from here to here, another 3 centimeters. Now, I have been trying for the last 3 days, and I must have thrown this at least 500 times. I cannot move from here to here. You guys realize this? And then if I want to move from here to here, this is like 1 centimeter. The first 3 centimeters are very simple to move. This takes you what? 5 minutes. Okay. This one will take you 15 minutes. This one will take you 5 hours. And this takes you 5 weeks. So you don't judge simply by the distance that you traverse. You judge it by where to where you're going. So suppose somebody says, so I want to increase my score by 5 marks. No, Abhay, that's not what I'm trying to say. Calm down, calm down, calm down. No, Chakra, that's not what I'm trying to say. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Initially, it's not about how much you want to improve your score by. It's about from where you want to take it to where. Okay. When you start off here and you throw the dart here and there and you get kind of disheartened because, oh, I couldn't do it. Let me assure you that you can get from here onto the dartboard even in the time that remains. Because it doesn't require you to do too much. And that's what I mean to say when your exam is a simple exam, because it requires you to score just 80 percentile. I don't know if you realize this. 80 percentile means that you are 4th out of 5 people, right? You're in the top. You know what? 80 percentile means that out of 100, 20 people are getting selected. So let's say these are like 5 people here. Out of every 5 people, 1 person is getting selected. If you also are to consider other colleges and other courses, it gets simpler. And if I'm to compare that with some of the other exams, here you have 1 in 5 selection. In the CLAT, that perhaps goes somewhere to around 1 in 100 maybe, or 1 in 80. Okay. When you go for more competitive exams, it becomes 1 in 100, becomes 1 in 1,000. When you're talking about selection here, that is in the zone of, here this is like the zone of 95. The next 3 centimeters become 15 minutes, become 5 hours. Ruk jao. Don't ask me anything else. Pay attention to what I'm saying, please. This zone requires a different kind of effort. This zone, I will not talk about it because that is something that you devise for your own self. If a teacher and someone who doesn't know it too well cannot guide you, I cannot guide you on what to do to get in here. Okay. But let me assure you this at this point. If you feel that you are outside, you're unable to hit even one question, to get from here to something like 70 percentile should take you 1 day of good effort. I'm not kidding you. To go from 0 to 70 or 60 percentile should take you 1 day of effort. We already have at least 5 or 6 lectures on the YouTube channel. You can go watch them. You can speed them up. You can ignore what you don't like. You will immediately go from whatever 30 or whatever to 70. Another 2 days, you can go from 70 to 80. If you're already here, you can perhaps try for the 95. I will not say that you will get from here to here in 4 or 5 days. That's never been what I've been tell you. But you can stay here and try to get from here to here. So that's how it works. I still can't hit it here, you know. And if you ask me when can I hit it here every time, God knows that takes a lot of effort. That's why some exams are difficult. Okay. This was just for a little bit of confidence. I hope that it keeps you, so you're not fighting a very tough exam. And the difficulty of an exam is not determined by the difficulty level of the questions. See, again, you guys are starting wrong things. Jindal form and all of this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't write to me what you need. Abhi bas shant raho bas. Keep quiet. Keep quiet. Don't talk amongst yourselves. Just keep quiet. Okay. So over the next 3 days, if you have, sometimes some of you might have 4, some of you might have 5. Try to think of it like this. To get from here to here, you need only accuracy. Okay. Please don't ask me anything at this point. Don't, you know, I see stuff scrolling there. It troubles me. Shant ho jao, please. If you're going from here to here, focus only on accuracy. Even right now, you guys might think, oh, it's 3 days for the exam. Should I really not focus on speed? No. If you're getting questions wrong, don't focus on speed. Use the last day for that. It's like when you're playing cricket also, right? The last, you can leave 15-20 runs for the last over, but you've got to preserve your wickets. You have still not gone into the last over. This is not the kind of exam where I'll say, oh, it's exam sar pe hai. It's not yet here. Okay, you're still around. You leave the last day for practicing speed. For the time being, just focus on accuracy. You guys are relentless today, huh? Relentlessly writing in the chat box things that you shouldn't. I don't appreciate it. Stop chatting in the chat box. It's not a chat box. Let's take this. Looks tiny. It would be assumption question. Good. And you know what? When something looks small, it's not as easy as it looks. Just don't write. I don't know if you were to see what it looks like to me. I keep seeing these chats here of useless things when I'm saying something else. Yeah. Okay. Ab sorry. Uske baad sorry. Sorry और मत बुला कर. Yeah, we'll solve. Okay. All right. Look at the nature of the question here. This is so small. So is this an easy question? No, it's so small. It's easy. Easy question. I can solve this in 5 seconds. Good. So first, don't get scared of a big thing, and don't underestimate a small looking question. Okay. I will respect this question just as much as a large question. Okay. And now since this is so small, I know in one reading I will understand it. You know, the mechanical understanding of this I will get in 1 second. So I want to read it in a targeted way. So I'll first see this. Which one of the following statements, if assumed, enables the above to be properly drawn? Okay. You know what? You know why this looks so small here? You know why this looks so small? Because what you understand from here is that there is one assumption that is there between these two things. Arey Baba, don't write this and that. I'm saying that here. Okay, don't write anything. Listen, sorry to ask it, right? Just listen. This tells you here, which of the following, if assumed, would allow the conclusion to be properly drawn, which means that I first make a premise. Then I make a conclusion. I already saw one word here, thus. So there's a conclusion here. Now what he's trying to say here is that there is an assumption in between this. There's always an assumption everywhere, you know, between a premise and a conclusion, there's always an assumption whether or not you can see it. We are trying to see as to what the assumption is that allows it to go here. Okay. Our target is to identify the assumption, which means I need to say that this is the assumption before I look at the options. If I look at the options, Likita, you have written that we need to assume. No, I'm not saying we need to assume. There is an assumption here. We need to identify what that assumption is. And then we go and look at ABCD to find out whether that is there. Like it will be there, in which option it is. So the options here are absolutely irrelevant. Let's see if we can identify the assumption in here. All of us are on the same page. You agree? Okay. All of you understand? So what I'm going to do here is I'll identify the premise, identify the conclusion, and see what has allowed this person to go from here to here. A vast majority of first-year engineering students at university are registered in physics. Simone is registered in physics. I have a friend called Simone, but you see that becomes, you see how it troubles you. You think of your friend when you see this. Information is troublesome. Thus, it seems likely that, oh, he's a guy, that she is a first-year engineering student. See how assumptions hit you here? That's what, you know, it's like if Rohan is the brother of Mohan, then what is Mohan of Rohan? Guys, if Rohan is the brother of Mohan, what is Mohan of Rohan? Brother or sister? Because you, acha. What is the gender of Mohan? What is the gender of Mohan? What is the gender of Rohan? What is the gender of Rohan? Good. When I've said Rohan is a brother, it means he's male. When I say about Mohan, I don't know. So you don't bring external information in here. Just saying. Let's try to identify as to what the conclusion is. Thus, it seems likely that she's a first-year engineering student. So the conclusion is that Simone is a first-year engineering student. Now you guys don't write the answers to me, please. When that thing happens there, I don't want to look at it. You want me to minimize the chat box? It's not a good thing to do, right? Instead, keep quiet. The vast majority of first-year students are registered in Physics 121. That means if this is, now, do you realize one thing, that first year engineering students is what we're talking about. There is no mention of second year students anywhere. There's no mention of third year students. That means, and also you're talking only about one university. You're talking about only 1 year, and you're talking about only one university, which means that this detail is no longer important to us. You see, if I have two pens, then I call it red pen and blue pen. I understand. If I have only one pen, let me just call it pen. There's no point in calling it red pen. Do you understand this point? How to remove some data from your head? See if something is being repeated. If you realize that, hey, it's like if I say I have a large swimming pool, somebody jumps into the large swimming pool, and then the large swimming, oh, just call it a swimming pool. Whether it's large or small is not necessary. So I'll remove here the name of the university. I'll also remove first year engineering, because everything is a first year engineering student. So the vast majority of students are registered in physics. Makes your question simpler. Simone is registered in physics. Thus, it seems likely that she is a student. Does your problem immediately look simpler? Do you realize that this thing which looks so small was tough until you actually reduce it further? Now let me look at the structure. You see, to build the structure, I don't need details. Okay, I always draw a diagram. To get to the diagram, you don't need details. So let's see if I can kind of get a diagram from here now. So, hey, maybe, okay, let's just see. So the vast majority of students are registered in physics, which means, suppose I say this is my students at the university. These are registered in physics. Following what I'm trying to say? These are the students, because I realize I don't need to say first year engineering students of Bighorn University. I can simply refer to them as students. Students, a vast majority are registered in physics. Come on, don't question things back to me. You think I'm having a conversation with you here for you to write something to me in the chat that you'll say, and I'm like, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. That's what it is. Don't chat with me here. Okay. Thus, it seems likely. Ruko bhaiya, don't give me what you're confused by. Pay attention first. I'll clarify it once I ask you. Don't write to me. I'll shut the chat box if I receive even one more message in this chat box. And I'll end the class on time or before time. I'm not obliged to teach for the entire duration. Okay. This is distracting. Write nothing to me unless I ask you. The vast majority of the students are registered in physics. Thus, it seems likely that she's a student. Simone is registered in physics. Thus, she's a student. Now, this is one way of looking at the diagram. There's one more way of drawing this. These are the people who are registered in physics. These are the students of Bighorn University. This box are the students of Bighorn University. Bighorn University students. By looking at this diagram, can you still say, does this fact hold here, that a vast majority of the students at Bighorn are registered in physics? Do you agree that this is sustained here? A vast majority. Okay. Now I say Simone is registered in physics. So maybe I'll put Simone in here. If I say Simone is in here, is Simone a student of first year engineering? Here she's not. Here she's not. Maybe students of Jindal University are registered in physics 1-1. Maybe students of someone else are also registered in 1-1. Maybe she belongs here. Now, the question that is, so now you've seen here that there is an assumption because I could show you a flaw. If I showed you a flaw, it means that you had an assumption in your head here and I just pierced your assumption. You guys agree? I pierced this for you just now. I took a pin and you were thinking something, right? Because you were thinking this, that, oh, there's one university in this universe, the Bighorn University. They teach physics. Simone studies physics. Most people who study physics are here. So Simone is a student of Bighorn University. How so cute. That's not how it works. So you always play the devil's advocate in your head to identify what's not there. Now, the question is saying, not an easy question. Not an easy question. It requires you to think. Good. So now, it says here, which one of the conclusions, which one of the following statements, if assumed, would enable the conclusion to be drawn? Don't cross question me, please. Don't cross question me at this point. Only pay attention and answer in yes or no if I ask you. Afterwards, I'll take the questions. Okay. Which one of the following statements, if assumed, will make that conclusion look okay? I just showed you that this conclusion was wrong. I'm just shutting the chat box because you're not shutting up. Something I didn't like to do, but which one of the following, if assumed, enables the conclusion to be drawn? So here we said most Bighorn University students are registered in physics. Simone is registered in physics. Thus, it seems likely that she is a student of first year engineering. I might have to now factor in a few more points. You see, Simone could be a first year engineering student of Jindal University. There's no engineering at Jindal here. But Simone, but you're not supposed to bring those facts in. Now, if you say, hey, why are you bringing external facts? I'm not bringing external facts here. I'm playing the devil's advocate by thinking of possible things that allow us to identify our assumption, right? You're a relentless fellows writing in the chat box and suggesting things to me. So if I want to say, so you know what, so there's this physics. Okay, let's draw physics as this. Physics is something. Now it says a vast majority of first year engineering students are registered in physics 1-1. It means second years could also be registered. Maybe everybody in the second year is registered. Like I said, it says vast majority of first years are registered. Do you know anything about the second years? Am I audible? Am I audible? Okay. I'm not audible? Am I audible? Just write audible if I'm audible. Okay. Does it tell you anything about the second years? Which means that maybe every single second year is in physics. So we only know one thing, that here is Bighorn University first year engineering students. So if I'm to just consider this as physics, this box is physics. And if I'm to say that this is like a major part of this thing, I can say that if I were to draw this Bighorn University first year engineering students, as I progress into the question, I realize that all details are important because we're trying to play the devil's advocate here. I hope you see that. Initially, I started off by removing some information. I get some idea in my head. Then I add the information back. Now I want to see the very simple way of thinking of things is, oh, Simone is registered in physics 121. Now let me just put Simone in here. So Simone is likely to be here. But what I can do is, there are two more possibilities. Either you might also think of the second year students of Bighorn University could also be here. So maybe Simone could be a second year student. I can put Simone in here. That's one thing that Simone could be. The other thing that Simone could be is that she could be from some other college. And still she's here. So what is it that makes, what is the assumption that we have that makes it likely that she's a first year student? Now I'm putting my question to you now. After what we've seen here, the conclusion that you're making that Simone is a first year student, what is an assumption? Good. Good. I'm seeing some good options. I'm seeing some good things here. Right. Siddharth. Yes. Yes. Kritika, the majority part is okay. So you're saying when the vast majority of this are here, it's likely. I think this is going fair. So what we are assuming here is that there is only one university and that only the first years register in physics, right? So we're assuming that second years do not, because otherwise she could be here, or non-Bighorn University students could be here. So our assumption is that there is 1 year and one university, as Anurama says. We are thinking of it as 1 year and one university. Now let's go and see as to whether our options are working for us. Hold on. If you were to now, let me tell you something. If you were to not have the assumption in your head before you went for this, you'll get it wrong. Are you guys convinced with the assumption, or you want me to talk a little more? Do you need a little more help on this, or are we done? Convinced? Convinced. Little bit. Okay, let's take a few more seconds to be clear, because the moment you get into the options, there will be lack of clarity. So let's look at it once again. I'll take 30 more seconds here. Be patient, 30 seconds will not hurt you. You can also use this as your method to get more clarity. What we have here is, it says that the vast majority of engineering students, first year engineering students, are registered physics 121. So let's say we have physics 121. It says the vast majority of first year engineering students of Bighorn University are registered here. That's what I can say, that if this is first year Bighorn University, most of them are registered for physics. Now you are saying that Simone is registered in physics. We want that a person who's registered in physics should fall within this. That means this area. I hope you understand that this area is our problem. This is what is troubling us. All of you follow this? This area is our problem. What I've just painted in yellow is our problem. That means if I can have an assumption that erases the yellow area, my conclusion looks logical. So my statement has to be one which removes the yellow area. Making sense? Agree? Now, what is this yellow area? Yellow area is maybe second year students, maybe university students, other universities like Jindal University or whatever university. There is maybe some tuition center, maybe some independent students. So I'm going to say that there's only one place, right? The one that negates the existence of other sections, other years, and other universities. This is what makes it true. Now I go and look for a statement that says essentially that there is nothing else around. Agree? Now everyone clear? Right clear if clear? If it's clear, right clear. Otherwise say it's not. Okay. Now, every engineering student at Bighorn University must pass physics in order to meet degree requirements. Hello? Hello? No. Okay. The number of first year engineering students at Bighorn University is slightly larger than the total number of students registered in physics 121. The number of students, hey, before you say no, look here. Wait. If I am saying the vast majority of the first year students are registered 121, that means let us say there are 100 students in Bighorn University physics 121. सुनो भाई, पहले शांत हो जाओ, calm down. Okay, a vast majority of are registered in physics, so maybe 90 are registered in physics. That's what it can be. So I'm saying here the number of first year engineering students at Bighorn University, 100, is slightly larger than the number of people registered in physics 121. Correct? Correct? It's correct, but is that an assumption? We just had fixed our mind on something. You remember? We had decided that we want, you see, this is an inference that you can draw from here. If I say most Indians are brown, that means also, oh, there are very few Indians who are not brown. Obviously, that's an inference. But was that an assumption that was used to draw the conclusion? We are looking for what we had just identified. So you see, don't go for something that looks okay. Don't fall into the trap so easily. You guys, I put a trap for you and I say, hey, get in, and you all went into it like this. Don't do that. Okay, so when you're looking at an option, don't look at the correctness of the option. That's why I tell you, options are like, please come here. And you're like, okay, here I come. That's not how you see options. You decide something in your head. Ashwarya, I'm doing that. You decide something in your head and look for only that. What did we decide? We said the assumption has to be something that says there is nothing apart from first year Bighorn. This is our assumption, that there is only one thing, that's physics. There's only first year Bighorn University and nothing else. We had decided this, right? Had we decided this or not? Now, once you've decided this, are you going to now go to this mall and say, I want this, I want this, this is also nice, this is also nice? You are sticking to what you had decided and you're saying, are you here to look at the truth of this? Are you here to look at the truth of this? The validity of this? No, you are here to see whether this is an assumption. So this is true. It's a correct inference, but were you asked to draw an inference? No. So keep the discipline of the mind. You realize how important it is not to look at the options. And when you're looking at the options, you're like, I want this, I want this, I want this. It's like, you're looking into a crowd, you're looking for your brother. Like, where's my brother? Where's my brother? Ah, there he is. You are not here to, hey, let's make some friends. Can you be a friend? Can you be a friend? Everybody can be your friend. You're not going there with a Rakhi, hey, I want to find a brother. That's not what you're doing. Okay. So I eliminate. Everybody can be your brother, but you are looking for somebody there. Let's remove this. We remove the first one as well. Oh, the engineering is highly, oh God. Pathetic answer. There are twice as many Bighorn University students registered in physics 1-to-1 as there are in this weakens. This is, so what you're trying to say here is what it tells you here is that there are non-first year engineering. You see, there are twice as many Bighorn University students as there are in the first year of the engineering program. So what it's trying to tell you is the number of people, look at this here. One second here. Suppose this is 100. Suppose this is 100. Okay. What is being said in this statement is that suppose, so there were 100 here, 90 of these were registered in physics 1-to-1. That's what we just saw, most of them. What this option is saying is that the number of people registered from this university in physics is double of this one. So they're saying maybe from second year, they might be 50 more people. From third year, there are another 50 people. Something else, 10 from somewhere else. So this becomes 10 plus 50 plus 90, 200. So if there are people here, then Simone could be here. Simone could be here. This is not helping us. It is harming us. So I will eliminate D as well. Okay. Now let's look at E. And oh, this looks bad. Some engineering students at Bighorn University take physics in their second year, but none in later years. This doesn't help, which means I've gone wrong with one of the options earlier. Okay. I've gone wrong with one of the options earlier. Now, let's go back and see as to what's happened. We are again trying to show something. The point remains the same. We are trying to say, see, when the don't suggest things to me right as yet. When we look at this, we want to use something that reduces this. Okay, that reduces the size of that. Let me go back and see. Every engineering student must pass. This is a value statement which is not given. Let's look at B again. The number of first year students then the total number of students registered in physics 1-to-1. Okay. You know what? What it said here is that the number of students registered in this one is slightly less than or slightly more than this. That means we are trying to say that this is very small. You see, if I'm trying to say here, let me draw it for you here. If we look at B, it says the number of first year students. Let me draw it for you here. So the diagram I've drawn there was that I've made a very big physics 1-to-1 because I think Simone can be here, can be here, can be here. And I had put your Bighorn University here. Okay. And I want to say that she has to be here. That's what I'm trying to say. So I want to say that this does not exist. So another way of making this smaller, right, was this one. The number of first year students at Bighorn University is slightly larger than the number of students written in 1-to-1, which means that we will have to reduce the size of this to this, right? We have to reduce the size of this. So what it is saying here is, did you guys understand from the diagram what I just did? I went in with an anticipation and I failed to see the merit of this because I was too stuck with my anticipation. That's a mistake. Okay, I'll explain to you once again. We, first of all, you see, if first year engineering students at Bighorn University is this, and if I say that most of them take physics, then I can kind of draw it like this. Okay. Or I can say, so now let me draw it with a different color. 1 second. And let's say this one is physics. Okay. Here I can say that, so these are the majority of the people who have taken physics in Bighorn University. What I told you sometime back was that, you know, as thinking as the devil's advocate, what I'll do is I will say that, okay, if you are the first year at Bighorn University, let me think of physics as being this. Now the majority of students are here. You see, in the first case above, Simone is so likely to be in here. Like if I'm just to put a dot in this diagram here. If I'm to put a dot, let me show you. If I were to put a random dot in here, the random dot is likely to fall within first year engineering. If I put a random dot in here, it could be anywhere. So we want to say that Simone should be inside this. That means I want to make this area smaller. That's what I told you a little while back, that my target is that I want to reduce the size of this yellow area. My target is to reduce the size of this yellow area. And the option that helps me reduce the size of the yellow area is what my answer is. So I thought of a statement in my head where I said that there's only one university, and I proceeded in that direction. I did not find it. So now I go back and reassess in what other way I could have this reduced. Okay. When I look at option B, what it says here is, let me just take a black pen. It says the number of first year engineering students at Bighorn University, that this one is slightly larger than the total number of people registered at physics 1-to-1. You see, this thing has already been told to us that a vast majority are physics. That means we know that this is surely there. Now, if this is going to be larger than this, I will have to reduce the size of this because of this, so that this red one becomes smaller than this one. When the red one becomes smaller than this one, it starts to look more like this, because now Simone cannot be here, she has to be here. Did I understand? I mean, did you understand what I just said? This statement helps me reduce the size of this large yellow area. Let me see if anything else helps me out with that, because I started off with a new outlook. Let's go back and ascertain whether this was there or not. Okay. The engineering program is highly structured, and this is external information. This we just saw is the opposite. This is the opposite. Now suppose, okay. Okay, Aryan, he's asking how to do it without making a Venn diagram. You have to think of the strange possibility. Like, you have to think of, let's say I say, do not do this. So for example, I lay down some rules for you that you should not do this, but you know what? You're a smart guy. You find your way of doing something. So always be the person that finds a mischievous way of following the rule and yet doing something else, which exactly, as I mean, okay, you guys know it. It's the loophole, right? So you find the loophole by getting in your head a strange example, and which is why, yes, you can use pen paper in your exam, Tanishk. These are things you should have seen already. Okay. Now, if you look at option D, I'm explaining option D. If you look at option D, it says here, so our target is that I am the loophole guy. So when I'm solving a question like this, I am the mischievous fellow who finds a way of doing something wrong while following the rules. So I am here drawing physics really large, like I'm being this mischievous fellow who's drawn physics very large. And I'm seeing as to which one of the options compels me to reduce the size of this. Okay, look at option D. It says there are twice as many Bighorn University students registered in Physics 121 as there are in the first year engineering program. The number of people in the first year engineering program is this. Shruti, these are the people who are in the first year engineering program. These are 100 people here, for example. Since most of them are registered in physics, you know that this area, the first years who are in physics, this is the area, this is around 90. But you know what it is telling you now? It is saying there are twice as many Bighorn University students registered in physics as there are in first year engineering program. That means there are totally 200 people who are registered in physics. So somebody will be here. So like I said, maybe second year students, 50 of them are here. Third year students, 50 of them are here. Fourth year students here, there are 10. So this is 50, 50 plus 10, 200, 90 plus 50, this is 200. Now, if there are so many possibilities, Simone could be here, in which case it's not likely. Simone could be here, Simone could be here. So this is not making the circle smaller, right? You see, our understanding of this thing helps us. So when even if you realize that okay, in your first reading you got it wrong, if you have the method in your head, you can go back and you can find out what the thing is. Okay, let's look at option E. Some engineering students take physics in their second year, but none in the later years. You see, what is the meaning of some? If I say, okay, let me put I was saying I'll talk to you about numbers. This is very important. I'm glad this is a okay. Let's say there are 100 students. Okay, let me draw a diagram properly. Let's say in the first year there are 100 students. In second year there are 100 students. Suno bhai, I'm not talking about extra info and all that. I'm asking you a question. A vast majority in your head, out of 100, how much is a vast majority? Muskan says 90, Path says 60, someone says 99. This is like, sir, what's a good score and what's a good percentile in the LSAT? Somebody will say 80. Now I like it. This is what my chat box looks like. When you guys ask me, sir, what's a good score? I scored 32, 45. This is my chat box. Yes, Trishita, you can. This is an exam that doesn't test you on English. Do you think my English is good? Okay. When I say vast majority, you see what all numbers you're giving me? So there has to be a number. What's that number? What's that number? Oh, Parth says 3/4, 80, like the cutoff of Jindal Road. Exactly. Do you realize that whether it said majority or vast majority, for you in your head, it's more than half? Understood? Understood? Mathematically. Okay. One more thing. In the second year, which means I have to, when I am to draw my contrapositive from 16, from what am I saying? From this first statement here. When I have to draw my contrapositive from here, it means suno bhai baat suno, don't ask me recording and all these things. I'll again have to shut the chat box. Don't ask me anything apart from what I talk to you here, please. What is the contrapositive when I see a vast majority? It means there is a minority of students who are not registered in physics 121, 49 or less. That's the numeral in my head. That's where I kind of fit in a structure as far as this is concerned. Now, when you now translate vast majority into language, depending on the options, maybe you might have to choose between a minority or a tiny minority. Okay, if you say, let's take, for example, there's a religion that in India, let's say it's at 20%, it's a minority. There's another religion which is at 3%. That's a tiny minority. Both are minorities, but one is a minority, other is a tiny minority. So suppose you have two options, one that says minority, the other says tiny minority. Then you can perhaps consider the significance of vast. Did I make sense? Did I make sense? Okay. Now, my question to you when I was talking about E was, let us say there are 100 students in the second year of Bighorn University. There are 100 students. My question to you is, how many have taken physics? Zoya, if most, how can you say most of them when they have written some? I'm not speaking, that's why I'm not audible. Okay, I'm saying if I say some students have taken physics, how many have taken physics? Okay, if I say give me some water, how much water will you give me? If I ask give me some water, how much water will you give me? If I ask for some water, Parth comes and gives me 1 teaspoon. Karishma gives me 1 glass. Ananya gives me 1 bucket. Abhivyakti gives me 1 tank. Have you all given me some water? All of you give me some water, na? So now I ask you, what is the meaning of some? Decent amount. Any amount. Ah, exactly. Chinni, I like what you wrote. Samiksha, good. More than 0. Ashwin, you're right. Ashwin, you were writing 30 before this. You're having fun, right? Okay. One of you was writing 30. Some means more than 0. Some means more than 0. Understood? So now, if I ask Karishma, please give me some water, she says, then she's not given me some water, but if she comes and she gives me 1 teaspoon or she takes 1 dropper, she says, and she gives 1 drop. Has she given me some water? She's given me some water. She solved it. So always think of it like this. Like if I ask for water and you say, I say, "Bacha, please give me some water," and you come and you give me 1 drop of water. You've done it. Therefore, when you say some engineering students take physics, it means anything from from 1 to 100. The only number I have been able to exclude is 0. Understood? Now, in terms of our question, like I said, you are to play the rogue in your head. You have to play the rogue in your head in order to be able to identify a false thing. You are looking for a loophole. So I either know that I will treat some as 1 or I will treat some as all. Did I make sense? Since I'm going to play this mischievous fellow, I will not treat some as, give me some water, here's 1 glass of water. I'm either going to say 1 drop or I'm going to say everything. So now it says here, some engineering students take, baat suno bhai. Yes, some can also be all, right? Some includes all. Some is all. Yeah. Like give me some water and you're like, I'm like, Karishma, please give me some water. And you say, here's all the water of the planet and the cosmos. You can have it. She's given me some water. Okay. If some engineering students take physics in their second year. Now, what am I trying to do? This was my physics. This was first year. I am trying to reduce the size of this. Agree? Now, you know what I'll do? Maybe first years had 100 people, of which 90 were physics. Now, you know what I'll decide? That second years have 1000 people, and all the 1000 people of the second year have taken physics. That means all of this is second year. So you see, in fact, I can decide that this will allow me to make physics even larger. Do you realize this? This statement, by the exercise of my imagination within the constraints, allows me to enlarge this. I can make this infinitely large. Because in second year, maybe in first year, Bighorn might have 100, but in second year, there are 1 million students and all of them take physics. So this doesn't help me diminish the size of this. Now you take your time to see how you work around these things. You don't always need to draw a diagram, but you need to find your way of sorting it and being able to find the right mischievous guy. Yeah, Ansha, I'll repeat. What is our target to eliminate the option? Our target is that we're trying to say physics is small. The number of physics takers is small. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to reduce the size of this. If I say some engineering students of second year take physics, it means there are some people here. Without even going too far, I know that if some people have taken it here, then Simone could be here. That's a simple way of eliminating it. I could have eliminated it like this for you, but then I wanted to tell you that some could mean all, and that some is not this innocuous looking, simple looking, cute thing. Give me some water and you give me 1 glass of water. I say give me some. Depending on the need of the question, some can be 1 drop, which basically means non-zero, and some can mean everything. In this case, for the sake of, now if I were to show you the two extremes here, just for the sake of understanding, just for the sake of Kritika, we'll talk about it later. So now, if this is what I'm talking about here, okay? If I want to say that some is 1 drop, this some students who take physics here from second is 1 drop, then you know what? This will become smaller, and then this becomes like my answer. But I am not the guy who is compliant. I'm not the guy who wants to follow the rule. I'm the guy who wants to break the rule. So for me, I treat some as very large. Therefore, I believe that physics students are flooded in here because of the second year students. Simple. This does not help me reduce the size of that big physics bubble. Did this make sense? Shruti, they haven't mentioned anything about the second year. That's the point. Since they haven't mentioned, it could be this or that. And we are to have an assumption that is strong, that cannot be pierced. You see, what did I do when I first started off? I pierced it. I drew a diagram for you and then I pierced it. We want to have an assumption that cannot be pierced. This is not extraneous data, bacha. You have to work on this to identify what external data is. This is not external data. This is being able to ensure that your bubble cannot be burst. So I'm thinking, oh, what about this? What about this? So when I'm drafting the rules of a hostel, maybe I'm thinking of whatever mischief all the mischievous fellows can do. That's how I draft my rules. Okay. Yes, you're considering all possibilities. And that is not called drawing in external information. External information is a very different thing. I know this takes some amount of effort and I cannot give this to you over the course of a lesson. You have to work on this. You know, this thing that looks, I know, external information and assumptions and the this idea of taking external things looks very similar. They are very different and you will feel the difference only if you work on it. So let's have a look at the answers to our questions, and we've also we've done run out of time. So I think we had question number 10. The answer to this was what is the answer to 10? E. Yeah, 10 was E and 16 was B. I think those should be. Let's have a look. This was section 4. That's 10E and 16B. So I hope this. Yeah. So assumptions require you to be able to dissect an argument, and you need to. So today I told you these things about some and this thing. Don't feel, oh my God, there must be a dozen more things like this. No, I told you everything that you need. In the assumption based questions, रुको पहले बात सुनो. First calm down and listen. In these assumption based questions, you have to learn to play this mischievous devil's advocate that learns how to identify something that complies with the rules, but it's actually not something that you would ordinarily have contemplated. In fact, you know how this helps when you get into law school. I don't often talk about it, but there's this thing that's called the. Have you ever felt that? Have you ever read something like some sections of any statute like IPC or something? Have you read anything like that before? Have you ever seen a statute, some section of anything? If you see a section, you might think, oh, why have you used so many words for such a simple point? Have you ever felt that? That, hey, you could have used that in lesser words. It's like how, you know, in Three Idiots he says, "Arey, kehna kya chahte ho?" Use it in simple words. Let me tell you something about a statute. A statute is written in the fewest possible words needed to convey that meaning. A statute, a provision that you find in the Bare Act, is characterized by great brevity. Brevity means brief, brevity. So the noun form of brief is brevity. It is written in the shortest possible manner. Yet it is long because It's one of the principles that is there in legislative drafting that we say we're thinking of the bad man when we are drafting it. See, if I were drafting rules for Goodfellows, I would say, hey, please don't talk in the chat box. I would say, hey, please don't trouble the class. Or I'd say, hey, please let's cooperate. And everything goes on smoothly. But let us say, when I'm drafting a rule, and if I'm to think about the loopholes, that compels me to think of many more possibilities. And therefore, you will find that for every line that is written additionally, every word, every comma, every punctuation mark, it is there to solve a possible mischief that has been contemplated by the draftsman. Did I make any sense to you guys? It is the least number of words required to convey that idea. Okay. Which means that a draftsman is trying to look at the person who will read the statute. He says, oh, murder is this, which means, oh, I can kill a person by doing this and I can get away with it. He's like, oh, wow. So the draftsman says, hey, wait. I have something for you. Here's what's written for you. So when you're looking at these assumption questions, you are trying to look at whether there's a chink in this somewhere and you try to fill in the chinks. Practice this for a day and you will find yourself better. If you don't practice this, you can't do it. This is loophole is exactly that. You try to find an assumption. You try to find a loophole. When you find a loophole, you are weakening an argument. When you seal a loophole, you're strengthening an argument. It's as simple as that. Right? When you strengthen the assumption, you're strengthening an argument. When you weaken the assumption, you're weakening the argument. It's as simple as that. We'll perhaps do a few more questions, but then even if I take one more session with you, paradox and similar pattern. I'll be putting up a few more questions and we'll have a long session in the morning of the 28th. Perhaps I'll record a long session, put it up as a YouTube premiere, and I'll be with you in the chat box so that I can answer your questions more easily. Okay, but let me tell you, questions that I give you here, it will not help you. This you will have to do by yourself. I can't, yeah, work on it by yourself. Okay. You guys are looking at the wrong channel. Hold on. Let me just give you the channel. Let me share something with you first. First of all, I'm sharing with you the prep tests. I'm sending a link. This, you'll find the prep test here. First thing, that's the link. Then I'm also sending you the link of the channel. Okay. I'll send on Telegram also. But if you really just, if you go and look on YouTube, just type LSAT. Most people have hair. Most people don't keep a full beard. I'm so easily recognizable. Okay. All right. Good night. Telegram is, you know what, if Telegram is not working, do you think I can do anything about it? Telegram is not working. It's not working. LSAT is not answering you. It's not answering you. Okay. So good night, all of you. Take care. Good night. See you tomorrow on 28th. I think I'll upload a long lesson on YouTube in the morning because I want to talk to you in the evening. You'd have your lesson, your exam the next day. We'll go for one long revision. Good night. Good night. Take care. नम्रता ऊपर देख लो थोड़ा लिंक डाला है कि बाय गुड नाइट